time for reform is now, and that this report will ensure that the reform process begins for real.
Sweeping changes could be coming to policing in Toronto. Those words from the city's mayor ahead of a police board meeting next week. This comes following calls to defund the police and reallocate those resources to communities and social services. And just one day after a scathing report on racial profiling and discrimination by the Toronto Police Service. From anti-racism training to mental health calls, the report from the Toronto Police Services Board is being referred to as a beginning, one that is, quote, a catalyst for reform addressing systemic racism, coming at a time where there have been heightened calls to defund the police and, quote, in response to recent events, including the killing of George Floyd at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer and the tragic death of Regis Korchinski-Paquette in Toronto.
We know we must do more, because systemic racism in policing threatens the equal rights and opportunity and justice and well-being of Indigenous, Black and marginalized communities in our city.
Among the 81 recommendations going to the board for approval, reviewing calls that can be taken by a non-police body and then looking into reallocating funding from the police budget to support those safety models, expanding the mobile crisis intervention teams 24/7, push for changes to the Police Services Act to allow for revoking of a police officer's job or suspension without pay. The mayor is promising that some of the proposed changes will be coming in weeks and not years.
It leaves people treated fundamentally differently from one another with no other apparent explanation, as we saw from some of these stark numbers.
A report released yesterday by the Ontario Human Rights Commission shed light on anti-Black racial profiling and discrimination by the Toronto Police.
Black people are more likely to be charged, overcharged, and more likely to be arrested by Toronto Police. And Black people are more likely to be struck, shot, or killed by Toronto Police.
And also part of the police board's recommendations to make anti-Black racism training permanent. This virtual meeting is set to take place next Tuesday morning. At Toronto Police Headquarters, I'm Faiza Amin for City News.